Welcome to the Cat Dad Show. My name is Scott Colby. This is a clip of my interview with Elizabeth Cassis. She's a certified canine nutritionist and integrative pet health coach. She was a guest for the Feline Wellness Summit. And so Elizabeth shared a story of her cat Lumiere, who had pancreatitis, and how he was able to recover from pancreatitis with whole food nutrition. So, really interesting story. Want you to listen carefully. Elizabeth, again, was a guest for our Feline Wellness Summit. If you want to hear the entire interview and interviews with 20 other feline wellness experts, grab a free ticket to our Feline Wellness Summit. It's at felinewellnesssummit.com. But for now, enjoy that clip.
Yeah, that was when Lumiere was 4. He was healthy, he was fine, and I was feeding what most of us feed, right? I was giving him can and dry food kibble. And I thought I was giving him the best food. I was doing the best I could. But then one day he just got really sick and he wasn't eating and he was just feeling bad. And that's when we got the prognosis, right? And they took him in, they gave him the normal protocols, hydration, and low fat food. And when none of those things work, and he had gone back to be hospitals a couple of times, they finally said, listen, his body is just not taking up what we're giving him. So we're going to have to let him go. They virtually just said, we're going to keep him comfortable until he leaves.
Mm.
And those was, I mean, it just sounded so weird to me because he was so young. He was 4. He'd been great. He had energy right before he got sick, and it just didn't make any sense to me. And I remember, so I have a Latin American background. And for us, the first thing we think about is herbs and food and, the chicken noodle soup, and your mom brings you lime and lemons when your throat hurts. And I thought, why don't I talk to someone in Colombia that is an expert in felines, and maybe they can give me some herbs or something. And what he said was virtually change his food. Just get some uh, chicken breast, boil it, and give him probiotics. And it was that simple. The only thing he did say, just keep the medicine for anti-nausea so that he can keep everything in, which I think is a great approach, a combination of the two. So with the food and the probiotic, he was fine. And then he never had another pancreatitis issue after that. After that, I started thinking about, you know, if pancreatitis can be fixed with food, what else can you do? Like what's happening? Because the veterinarian in Colombia said it's because of the food you're giving, right?
Mm.
That's what happened. The reason he got pancreatitis is because of that food. So if you start giving him healthy food or proper food, he'll be good. I started doing my own research in nutrition. There wasn't a lot actually that long ago. So I started thinking if it works for me, why wouldn't it work for them? And I've been doing my own research, doing it all, just looking as much as you can, asking people, but then decided to, when I found the training for the certification, I was absolutely excited to get some formal training on how to feed my feline babies better.
I love that you did your own research. It's kind of like it's your babies, right? You're gonna take matters into your own hands and not, rely necessarily on what somebody else is telling you. And it kind of reminds me, Elizabeth. So one of my cats, she's not around anymore, but she had a similar issue when she was about 12, and she was sick like all day. Took her to my vet at the time. I was actually living in Texas at the time. I know you're in Texas as well. And we took her in, or actually, sorry, I was living in Denver at the time, and they didn't know what was wrong with her. And we actually were sent to a hospital, a vet hospital or a pet hospital animal hospital, where we thought we were going to have to keep her overnight for observation. So they did an ultrasound, and they weren't sure of the final diagnosis, but what they said it looked like was acute pancreatitis.
Mm.
Kind of like magically, she got better. Like by the time we didn't have to leave her overnight at the animal hospital, she just kind of improved how she was feeling as that night went on, I mean, she was sick like all day and then just got a little bit better. But up until that point, I just fed her dry food because I didn't know any better. And every time I went to the vet prior to that, they would say, "What food is she on?" And I would tell them, and they said, "Okay."
Yeah, that's fine.
They didn't say you needed to switch anything. Now, once she got pancreatitis, they said you should start feeding her some wet food, and dry food, so kind of like a combination of the 2, but they didn't really say, I mean, they basically said whatever you could find at the local pet store. They didn't say it would have to be any special type of wet food. Now, she did live to 20, so she never had another episode of pancreatitis, and she lived to 20. She had that when she was about 12. I remember I thought that was gonna be the end. I remember on my way to the animal hospital, I was calling my parents in tears because I was saying, "I think
Yeah.
this is it," and then she actually felt better, which was amazing. But towards the end of her last few years, she did get kidney disease. She got, lymphoma, and a couple other issues. So I imagine if I knew what I know now and what you're gonna teach us, in the next few minutes about nutrition, that maybe she could have, not had some of these other diseases that kinda cropped up. Um,
Right. And the thing about the natural food and healthy food, the way I call it, is that yes, some animals can live very long and kibble, but are they actually thriving, right? Of
Yeah.
course, if you eat chips every day, you might survive for a very long time, but you're going to have issues, right? You're not going to feel good. You're not going to be at your best. So I do get a lot of people say, well, when my kid is 12, 15, and they've been on kibble or dry food, there's nothing wrong with it. Are they thriving, right? Could they live longer, like you're saying? And it's not only longer, but having a good life, enjoying that life. And I really doubt it. Like, yes, they live long. Some of them do, but are they feeling comfortable? And they don't tell you. Cats have a very high threshold of pain, and they don't let you know until they're really suffering. So they could be ridden with inflammation, and you don't know.
Well, which is why I'm excited to learn from you because I now have 2 one-year-old cats, Nico and Milo, and so I'm doing my best to, feed them a healthy diet, but I'm excited to dig into this topic because I know a lot of people feel overwhelmed by the idea of transitioning their pets to whole nutrient-rich food, and there's a lot of options out there. So where should a cat parent start if they're just thinking about making this shift?